Hi everybody, welcome to Cage Minds. I'm your host Micah. We're going to talk about Versus 5. Review the action, tell you about all the results, tell you how our predictions did. It was a great night of fights, action-packed from beginning to end. It definitely lived up to all the hype that was surrounding the event. And let's get right to it. The first fight was Edwin Figueroa versus Jason Reinhart. We had predicted a first-round TKO stoppage for Edwin Figueroa. It would have been longer. A minute into the second round, he did get that TKO stoppage. Overwhelming, tremendous striking. Looks like a prominent young prospect in the bantamweight division. The second fight had grapplers Jacob Volkman and Danny Castillo taking on each other. We had predicted a unanimous decision victory for Danny Castillo. It went the other way. Jacob Volkman took a unanimous decision. We'd hoped the two grapplers would nullify each other and we could see a striking war, but it was a grappling war all the way. Volkman sank in about 7 Doris chokes, unsuccessful in them, but with all the submission attempts, Castillo was defending the whole time. Volkman overwhelming unanimous decision victory. The third fight pit T.J. O'Brien and Cole Miller, both submission artists. It was very competitive. They started off striking. I predicted a strike would take it to the ground. I predicted that Cole Miller would end the fight in the third round with a rear naked choke. A strike took the fight to the ground. Cole Miller ended it second round with a phenomenal one-arm guillotine. Moving on, the next fight put Alex Karasis, Bruce Leroy, Ultimate Fighter alum, versus the debuting Jimmy Hedis. Hedis had finished all 8 of his opponents by submission. I predicted that he'd have a unanimous decision victory. I thought Bruce Leroy would be resilient enough not to fall for a submission. That was not to be, and it was a second round rear naked choke, ending the night Mr. Karasis for the debuting Hedis. The next fight was Carlos Vemma versus Ronnie Marks. I thought that Vemma would be the stronger wrestler, that he'd take a first round knockout. He's a powerful guy. He hits hard. That was not to be. Marks was even bigger, even stronger. Amazing jiu-jitsu, control top position, was dominant throughout, took a unanimous decision victory. That takes us to what I thought was going to be a tremendous fight. Ed Herman versus Kyle Noak. I thought that Kyle Noak would take a split decision victory. That was not to be. Ed Herman in the first round sank in a nasty heel hook. Great submission. Ed short-fused Herman with his second fight back from injury. 2 first-round victories. He's looking hot in the middleweight division. That took us to 2 of the bantamweights, world-class fighters, Joseph Benavidez and Eddie Wineland. They kept a basic striking, great competition for 3 rounds. We had predicted a Joseph Benavidez unanimous decision, and that's what we got. He showed to be the better striker, even though Wineland is showing incredible improvements in his takedown defense. Benavidez was not successful on many of his takedowns. Wineland, though, seemed to be kind of shy from throwing the punch, from being active. Benavidez took advantage of that, much more active, showing that he's the top 3 fighter in that weight class still. Next up was a middleweight battle between CB Dalloway, Jared Hamman. We'd predicted a second round TKO for Jared Hamman, and his Dutch kickboxing that he's learning from Anthony Harda, his improving game, his debut at middleweight, it all showed to pay off. Jared Hamman did get that second round TKO. Could still work on some of his takedown defense, but it all came together, had the much more deadly striking, and in the second round when he had Dalloway hurt, he kept it going. He kept taking the top position, getting himself in advantageous positions to finish the fight, and did so. It was a beautiful debut at middleweight for Hamman. This takes us to what we saw now on the main card on Versus. Dwayne Ludwig versus vsudahlah. I thought that vsudahlah would get a unanimous decision. We thought he would implement his ground game, that he would have a superior takedown ability in ground game. The fight started off in the clinch against the fence, but they were equals. Bang Ludwig showed to have a superior striking game, was much faster. His left hook kept connecting all day. It was a beautiful performance for him as he took a unanimous decision victory. That took it to another, what we'd hope would be beautiful stand-up battle between Donald Cowboy Cerrone and Charles Oliveira. Cerrone was the bigger man, physically more imposing. I thought he would win the unanimous decision. It was a spectacular first-round TKO stoppage. Oliveira looked like he wanted nothing to do with being in the ring with the Cowboy at that point. By the end of the fight, he was like, "Thank you, ref, for saving me." He should probably look into moving down for featherweight, and Cerrone is now on a roll. This takes us now to the co-main event, where Jim Miller and Ben Henderson were to do battle. I thought that Jim Miller would win via split decision. The fight did go all 3 rounds, but the other way for Ben Henderson in a dominant performance. The best performance of his UFC career, now 2-0, looking more dominant and looking like a championship contender. That takes us now to the main event of the night. Last night, before the fight, at the weigh-in, it was announced that Chris Lytle was retiring. Would he go out with a bang, or would Dan Hardy avoid a 4-fight losing streak? Well, Chris Lytle will go home a happy man, as he took a 3rd-round guillotine submission as Dan Hardy surprisingly shot on him. It was a great fight. If you get a chance to watch a replay on Versus, if you have not seen it, you should. They slugged it out. Both men landed heavy shots. It was just not Dan Hardy's night. Chris Lytle goes out on a high note. 20th appearance in the UFC. They also They also each get a bonus for it was fight of the night. Also, Chris Lytle got a submission of the night. It was also announced later that Donald Cerrone got knockout of the night. It was a great night for the UFC on Versus. It was a great card. It was a great weekend for mixed martial arts as a whole, as I also partaken in viewing Strikeforce Challenger on Friday night. Saturday night in Albuquerque, New Mexico was MMA Fight Pit, where Houston Alexander had a pretty good main event with Al Hassan Rockman, where it was really weird as they ended the fight because of a doctor stoppage with a dislocated finger. But overall, saw a great week of mixed martial arts capped off by this Versus card. This has been Cage Minds. Thanks for watching.